Would you mind first of all going back a little bit and talking about your family, where they came from, and all that kind of stuff?
Well, my family lives in County Wexford, in Escarty, County Wexford. My father died shortly after the war because he got TB and he died. And my mother was a widow woman. And we moved from the country. We were in the mine and we moved into the town and in St. Aidan's Villas. And my mother then took in the boarders and she worked in a hotel as well. And that's how I met my husband. I went to the presentation school. I was there till I was 16. I went down to into the Loretta then, but I only stayed there a couple of months, and because I was doing so much work in the house for my mother, because when she was working in the day, I was getting the food ready for the men in the night when they come in. They were working in DSB. That's how I met John. He was working in DSB. And so then I got married. I was 17 and 9 months when I got married. So I was given away, I'd say. My mother thought John and the whole office was going to stay there. But like when he got work back in Waterford, so we came up to Waterford. And I loved Waterford. The minute I came over the bridge, I really fell in love with Waterford. I thought I was a millionaire coming across the bridge. But then trying to manage in a flat, and you had an open fire to cook on. We had no cooker. We had nothing that we could even wash up in the room. We had to go down on a landing to do our washing and everything in a bathroom. And we were sharing it with people. Then I moved on. We got a place.
Where was that now, Peig?
That was in Morrigan Street, called the Toby Jug at the time. I know the pub was there in Morrigan Street. So we moved out of there because we only had the one room. And we went up to live with a man. He had a house on his own. But he was a very problem when he'd get the labour of a Thursday be coming in and he'd be swearing and everything. And we had to move out of there. So we got the house, the morning I got the house. We were told to come in with a £5 to pay for the keys. We didn't have a £5. John was idle at the time. And so the other Mrs. Tebay, she got 149 down the road. She was a sister-in-law, brilliant person. And she came in with her keys. She was after getting one as well. So she said to Billy, go down on your bike. She said, there's the £5 and get him their keys. Do you know what I mean? Because I was waiting till John come in. He was up in the labour. So Billy came back with the keys at the house. We were delighted. We were really delighted. And when we got out here, Mrs. Tebay was after being out before us, the other lady. And her neighbour, Mrs. Long, next door to her, they were all here when I came, and they were arranging things, you know, putting things up the stairs, and they had a table set out in the other room. And the woman in next door, Mary Shortle, she came in over the railing when she seen all the children and that, and she'd all the little buns and things, and I thought it was lovely. I had a crowd of neighbours straight away that I'd never met before, like, you know, it was fantastic.
And they made you feel welcome.
Oh my God, she became the best. We became the best of friends. Then we had Biddy Grant after her. She was a character. And then we had Bridie Power, and we had Babby Stewart. And when we were having the kids then, rearing the kids then after that, we all went to, there was a field day or Father Pat's. And we all went up there at about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the day when we'd have everything done in the house. And our children would be playing around. And Mary of them cooked anything to give me something out of it. And if I could get round to cooking something in the morning, a tart or something, I'd give them some. So that's the way we managed. And Mary, if any of them wanted coal, when I'd be getting my coal club, I'd give them some. And when they get their coal club, they give it back to me. And that's the way we managed. And when I'd be expecting, Mary was in over the fence to make sure everything was going all right, you know. And when I'd be in bed for maybe 2 or 3 days after the baby's been born, she'd be looking after the children for us. There were great neighbours here, great neighbours.
And remember you said that when you first came out here, how many children did you have at that stage?
I had 4, and I was expecting my 5th.
So you had 4 children and 1 on the way.
Yeah.
And you moved out here, like, how did you get out here? I mean, even physically, how did you get out?
Well, I walked out with the pram, with things on the pram, but the rest was gone out in a little lorry. Because I didn't have much, because I had no place to put anything. you know. And my mother came up from Enniscorthy and she put the bit of lino in the hall and things, and she put a bit of lino on the stairs, but she still could hear the children. They never see stairs and that before, and they'd be running up and down, and they were running up and down the hall. They thought it was brilliant. Do you know what I mean?
I know, and then to have a few bedrooms and all that kind of
And I had the 3 bedrooms. I was able to put, the girls always slept in the big room because I had more girls. I had only 2 boys, so they had the smaller room, you know. But it worked out very well in a way.
And I mean, like, people wouldn't have had white cars and that in those
We
days.
didn't have a car. I remember when I was expecting the baby now, and I was a good bit gone. I think it was September he was born. I came out in June. And I was walking into Mass, and Biddy was going out on her bike to go into Mass, and we'd no church out here. It was in St. John's. And she said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going into Mass." And she said, "Get up on the back of the bike." You see, Biddy was only a little thing. You know, she wasn't about 6 stone, like. And you can imagine me and I expecting a baby. So we were doing fine and we were chatting away to one another. I was on the thing on the back. And she said after a while, we were going over, do you know the rise in Johnstown? We were going over that and she shouted, "Jump," but I didn't hear what she said. So I was still on. And the bike went up in the air and the 2 of them came down on top of me. And we went into the church and we couldn't listen to the priest and we couldn't hear anything. We were laughing so much, we had to come out of the church. And then John nearly died because he was worried then like what would happen to the baby. But nothing happened to her anyhow. She's still alive today. Like. But they were things people done. We walked into Mass. But you wouldn't see people walking anywhere for it. Now they're all in the cars. Like, we didn't have a car for years. My mother bought us one. The children used to be always out there and people would be saying, "Oh, we're going to Tramore." And they say, "Why can't we go to Tramore?" You know. And it was all right when the train was there. But so we were down in Enniscorthy one day with my mother. We used to go on a week's holidays down there. And she used to say to me, "This is the only break you get." Like, she'd mind them and that. And so she bought this car. She bought it for £20. The car was pounds then. And trying to put the insurance on it then was 12. And we thought that was very dear too. But it was more money than you'd earn. John wasn't even earning that much, do you know what I mean? But we had this car. Well, everyone in that street used to come with us. And one day we went out to Tramore and these Americans were walking along the pram and we pulled up and the next thing to start, all the children start getting out because they wouldn't go without their pals. They were 9 minutes, we're in the boot and everything, like, you know. But it was all fun, do you know, and when we got a television, sure, the seat and all got burnt here one time over the television. We had a television when there were no, we were the first to have a television my mother brought home to us. And she'd have it on and we'd have it on, but it was only a picture was on it. It wasn't working, like, you know. But they used to all come, you know, the kids just to look at it. Do you know what I mean? It was great. It was always kind of a good community, though. I think it was. It was a very good community.
And so, come here, just all the children then, were they all born in Waterford?
Yeah, well, yeah, all the children. No, the first 4 was born at home in Enniscorthy because I used to go home to have them. And the rest of them were all born up here. Okay. Yeah.
And then would that be up in
St. Edensville, Airmount. Oh, yeah, Airmount when we was here, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And then...
there was only one in Airmount. I had most of my children in the house. Oh, right. I had them in my mother's house and I had them here. Okay. Yeah.
And then would you, where did they go to school then?
They went to the John of God school first, the girls did. And there were no secondary there, so they went to the Ursuline, but they went to John of God's first. And the young fellas went into the school there and went up to Harry then, or went up to Mount Sion after that, yeah.
And where did you work yourself, Peig?
I worked there was a friend of ours used to come out, a friend of Mrs. Tebay, used to come out here of a Monday night with John's mother and them. And they'd visit us of a Monday night. And I was saying, like, if I could get something in the night when John would be there to mind the children, it'd bring in a bit of money, more money. So I used to get €17 to wait on tables. They'd have tea dances and things in the Bridge Hotel. And then I was rushed out to the Majestic. And in the summer then I'd often get a good bit of work in the Majestic. And the Mr. Breen's daughter, Mary, she was getting married. So I took over her job for 3 months because she was on her honeymoon. I was over all the laundry and all the things, make sure things went smooth. And the copper going out into the... And then I'd stay in the dining room in the nights for the service, yeah. But I worked on that now for a good bit, you see. But the kids didn't like Mr. Breen coming to the door of a Sunday when I'd be going to go off with all them. You know, they used to have to go off with their father. They didn't like that at all. They wanted me to go as well, like, you know, but sure, for to bring in the money, because they were getting hardier now and they needed more clothes. And I used to mend their shoes. John's father taught me how to mend shoes as well.
And you were said to me earlier on that you're really well, like you were able to do all sorts of things. Well, tell us some of those things that you used to do.
Well, I knitted all their clothes. I knitted even the jackets, to make it look like the school jackets. And I made all the pants. My mother used to teach me that. She was a dressmaker. And I done any clothes they wore, I made them. And John used to bring home flour bags from Denny's. And I'd wash them and press them out. And I made shirts for them. And I made skirts for the girls. And I made dresses for the girls. And by a spine to make them look fancy and put them on the edges of it. And I even made their shoes, you know. I done all that myself.
You're well able.
I was well able to do it, you know, and I put a little embroidering on the pillowcases when I'd make them, you know, his and hers. And I put flowers on some of the rest of them, you know. I could embroider as well, you see. My mother taught me well. I can thank her for that today, you know. And she taught me how to, manage as well in the line of mind and the money and things like that.
Well, she was obviously a very good organiser herself.
She was, yeah. She was a very good person. There's nothing she couldn't do either. Do you know what I mean?
And that's who you got it from, really?
I'd say I got it from my mother, yeah.
Because you were famous in the community for organising, aren't you?
Well, I want to say famous. I suppose I have the biggest mouth, maybe, when I goes to the person to get a thing done, they're afraid to say no. A fella came to the door there this morning to thank me for getting the bars up in the church. And I said, sure, I only went in and said it to him, yeah, but we were at the centre 4 or 5 people and they didn't get anywhere when you went in. But I did say, if they fall, it'll cost more than putting a bar there. That's what I put it. I've always given a little hint, you know what I mean? So maybe that's why. And I was good friends with Harry too. I used to always go down when I was the mayor. I used to go down every time that the kids would be leaving for the summer holidays, bring them down sweets and all, you know. They all thought, some of the children when I became the mayor of Waterford, or the mayor of John Barr, they used to be shouting after me, President, President. I said, I'm not President. I joined the Fine Gael then. I wouldn't be in it today. Yeah, I was in the Fine Gael with a couple of them as well. I was the treasurer of the city and nothing in it.
Did you go for election or something, or did you just...
Oh, they wanted me to go. John Bruton sent a letter here and I was to go to be trained to Dublin. And my husband said, that's that now. He said, that's enough now, he said. And there was one time he was asking me, would I give this table to this trap up in Denny's? We were after getting a little bit well off and we bought a table, and this table was belonging to my grandfather. He made it after coming from the war that we had. And so he said, there's a chap now going in, he said, for they're in a flat, he said, and they're looking for the table and chairs. And I said, no bother, I said, and I had it covered all in the shed, you know. And so this fella came out anyhow a couple of days after, and he said, I'm coming out about the table. Oh, come on, I said, go in and get it. And to the present day, we never found out who got the table, because the fella came along after for the table that my husband was talking about. So after that, my husband used to say, someday I'll come to that door and someone will be after, you'll be after giving me away. I'd be some fool, I said, you know. He was over it, you know, but how I became the mayor at all of John's Park, the priest sent up here one night for me. And I was after arranging for a whole weekend for Ballybeg. And they had nothing at all in Ballybeg at the time. And you see, there was a lot of Ballybegs, young ones with me in work. And they were saying to the nun, you know, I was there and I do something, get up something. So she sent for me and I went over, and she wanted me to arrange a whole weekend of activities that they could make money on. So I did. And I went to a traveller that used to go into mices to my daughter. And she was a very generous person. I went to her and I got all the horses, and they supplied them with the men, bringing it up and down. You have to pay €2 or 2 shillings to get the ride on it. And we had a big teenager thing too, the Queen, Princess of the Park, and look-alike competitions, everything you could think of. And we had a mayor competition. And when I went up and I said it to the priest of the mayor competition, oh, he didn't approve of this at all. And I said, what are you talking about? I said, that'll bring in a lot of money. Not at all. He said, the people out here are very poor. Would you like to come up, I said, to the Regal Cinema? I said, tomorrow night, I said, with me, I'll drive you up and bring you back. And I said, most of the people going in giving £20 it was at the time for the tickets to go in, I said, are from your area. So if they can give 20 for that, they can give a 10 to vote someone in on the thing. So this woman came with me, Mary was her name. She won it. She went everywhere and she won it. She bet all the men and all. And I went to the soccer team and they ran things as well for us all at the one time, like, you know. And then we had a teenage dancing as well. And so they got enough money to build the first building out there, a community building. So the mum was delighted. But Father Gowrie was after hearing about this. So I went down to see what they wanted, and he said, well, wouldn't you do it? And I said, look, I haven't any time. I said, I'm working like full time. And he said, you could do it for Ballybeg, you could do it for us. So I arranged it all for them. So I wasn't involved. I wasn't to be involved in it. That's the way I took it. And 3 weeks after, he sent up for me and he said, look, it's at the falling apart. He said, there's the people that's going in for the mayor competition. He said they want 25% of the money for themselves, for their clubs. So I was left standing there and he said, would you go for us? So I never asked anyone in Waterford for the vote. No one in Waterford. I went all off down the country, down to Liscarty, down to Wexford, so that I could leave the voting for the people up here, like, you know. Because there was a woman and she really wanted to be the mayor. So I was sitting there thinking one of these soccer fellas were going to win the voting. 1,700 and something votes I was at to get. And the rest of them weren't after doing that. And I could have been getting them votes if I had to know that, you know. Yeah. So when I was called out, I nearly fell down on the ground. So that's how I became mayor of John's Park.
And just to go back to, you know, when you met your husband and all that, and you said when you came across the bridge you felt happy. What was it? What did you like about coming to Waterford? Oh,
there was something. It was like... It was the very same as a breath of air coming across that bridge. You know, it was beautiful. I loved the bridge, the idea of it. Like Enniscorthy was only a kind of a one-horse town. Okay. Like, and I was coming. It's lovely now down there. I likes it now when I go home. Yeah. But because my mother and mother are gone, but my cousins there were very close, and she comes up and I goes down to her. But I like it now the way it is done up at this time. But it was a very, you know, down drab place years ago. Like, you know, there was nothing in Enniscorthy years ago.
And Waterford was more sophisticated.
Yeah, and I thought the Waterford people were always very friendly. Do you know what I mean? And I'm kind of a friendly kind of person myself. Everyone says some people call me laughing pig. I'm always laughing. Person with cancer said shouldn't be laughing.
I come here, and where would yourself and John go, like, for entertainment? Would you go into the...
We were ballroom dancers. Oh. Well, John was a ballroom. I was an Irish step dancer, and but John was a ballroom dancer. So if we were going anywhere, like, you know, out, mostly if there was dances from, we'll say, the jute factory, his sister was in that, so she'd get tickets, you know, so we used to go for that. And then we used to go out to the club out in the glass factory club. So I got involved then as well with we won a couple of things with the dancing, and the children took over dancing then, but John was a lovely dancer. He's a much better dancer than I was. A bit of a show off at times, but he was a good dancer.
And there was a lovely picture of the two of you looking at each other, and you're all dressed up. Was that fancy dress?
That was the fancy dress. I was the means and ways. I was on the means and ways committee of Combin and Schubert. I was the chairperson. I was the founder and the chairperson. So we used to run things in that, and we used to run a fancy dress every year, and we used to run the Rosa Tralee. We pushed the bed to Dungarvan to get an eye machine for the hospital here. So then we bought a kidney machine. We run things just for that. And we walked to Dungarvan with a bed. They wanted me to get in on it, you know, and I wouldn't get in on the bed. I was too proud and I was half dead by the time I got there.
But in the picture anyway, you can see the two of you are mad about each other.
Oh, I was, and still am. I'm still crazy about my husband. And I know no one ever took John's eyes from the time he met me. I don't know why. Because I didn't think I was that good looking. And he was very handsome, do you know what I mean? But he loved the competitions. I remember the competitions. I said to him, look, we're winning this every year and it's not right. And yet the people in the factory and the bosses used to go early to see us walking in. And I said to him, look, we'll have to give over this now. I said, because we're winning every time. And we went in silver, and I used to make all the clothes. It was easy for me to do it, and other book creators would be having to hire them out, you know. And we were in the silver rig out one time, the four of us, and my daughter and her husband, and we were the support from the outer space, you know. And I used to run the St. Patrick's Day thing too. But next thing, anyhow, they came in. I said, we're not doing it this year now. I'd rather win it 8 times, I said, John. And he said, oh, but couldn't we go? And I said, we'll go all right. And then we were sitting down, it was Sunday evening, and these characters came on the television, and they were all having fancy dress. So this fella and one dressed up as Mickey Mouse and Mighty Mouse. And so he said, they didn't win. He said, now, couldn't you? And I said, this are the night shirt. I said, where would I get material? He was up the stairs and he pulling out everything like a lunatic. And he said, you could make a thing out of that and you could make a thing out of this. So we ended up, we were up until about 3 in the morning, and we were making this rig out for Mickey Mouse. And we were some Mickey Mouse and Mighty Mouse. Imagine me, a mouse with a pair of glasses on us. If I had to think of taking the glasses off, I wouldn't have looked as bad. And the ears, and John had bandy legs. And in the thing I made, you could see his bandy legs and all. And we tails out. And at the time when we'd be doing fancy dresses, everyone went into town to go to different pubs just for the black art. And a friend of ours, he went as a bin fella. So we went into the first pub and the people nearly fell down when they see me sitting John with the tails hanging out. We walked into the thing. Now, we won't win now. I said, you'd be satisfied now. I won't. I hope we don't, I said. Next thing, our names got called out. We won again. Sure, why wouldn't we? Lunatics dressed up the way we were dressed up. Well, he loved that, like.
And you were saying earlier on to me as well about the, like you had 8 children that lived, but you also had a couple of children that died. Two girls, a boy and a girl. Okay. Betty was 2.5, and that was a bit of a problem on me for about 5 years. I used to hear her calling me in the house, you know, imagine I hear her calling me in the house. And then when I started to get a bit of work, I kind of... That was meningitis? Yeah, meningitis. There were 8, I think, died in Waterford the same week. Do you know, of that. Just went unconscious. You lost the baby after that, was it? And I lost the baby 9 months after that. Okay. Mm. And then you had 8 children altogether. I mean, that was a big handful, wasn't it? It was. But look at how lucky I am today. They're the best children in the world to me.
I never have to buy clothes myself to be buying clothes and everything. So, and they're very, very generous. Like, you know, one of them now taxed the car for the year because I'd be only taxing it for half a year. Do you know what I mean? But I am lucky to have them now, really and truly. And they're like me. They're all very happy. They're not, anyway, saucy people. You know, they're very happy.
They probably got it from somewhere.
I say they probably got a bit for me because I'm always sure. Why would you be sad when you can have an old laugh anyhow? Sure, this is what it's all about.
And can you tell me about other characters in the area? You know, when you're in John's Park, St. John's Park.
Now, Aggie Myler used to be a great character. When she came there, she'd be out on the road till about 1 a.m. with all the young fellas telling them stories and everything. Do you know? They all loved Aggie. Do you know what I mean?
What kind of stories would she be telling?
Oh, she'd be all telling stories about herself and all now I don't know what they'd be telling them and the melodeon. She could play the box and everything for them, like, you know. But there was the people out here, I have to say, the young fellas growing up now when they were 18 and 20 and now started to go to dances or anything, they protected them. The young lads here were very protected of the girls in John's Park. And when they'd be coming out from the dances in the night, if there was anyone following them, they'd shout over, "Are ye all right, girls?" And the others would all go back then. They wouldn't come after him at all. They were very, very, very protected of him. And still loves all the youngsters to be shouting them on up. You know, even when they go into a pub now and they'd see any of them, you know.
So there's a really strong sense.
There was a strong, we had, the first chairperson was out here was Johnny Butler, and he was brilliant. He was really dedicated to everything. He's the reason of the church and everything. He was, there was one time the chain gang came out here and used to be after the young fellas out here and was causing a bit of trouble. He got off from work and he couldn't afford the date's wages, but he got off from work and went into the courts and settled up them. And we never had trouble after that. But he was a brilliant man altogether, very quiet man. But he died, you know, he wasn't out here too long when he died. Like, his wife was left with 3 or 4 children as well, like, you know. But now we're having deaths every week. And when anyone comes for me, I says to him, the biddy down the road is not well, so I'm at the running out of neighbours. He's escaping me, you see. But we had brilliant neighbours here. Brilliant neighbours. I have to say now we had brilliant neighbours.
And there was a few famous people born out here too. You had Sean.
Oh, we have Sean Dunn. He wrote a book, yeah. And we have 2 professors, with several nuns. We have doctors. We have a couple of doctors. We have a scientist, extra scientist now. My grandchild, and she's in biology. You know, she's science, and. We had, what else had we there? We had a lot of nurses out of it and nuns. Yeah. I tell you, for a little small community that there was no money in, like the children are very, very well educated. That's one thing. Maybe it's the schools. We had a very good school in the Ursuline, and we had a good school in Harry's school. We had a good school in the John of God's. The only thing was wrong with the John of God's when they only went so far. You know, and then they had Mount Sion as well. When they'd be finished, they could go to Mount Sion. Do you know what I mean?
And what about? I mean, there was a bit of a reputation out here for trouble for a while. I mean, that's
all to do with the gang trouble. Okay. That was there then, but it was stopped. Like that man really went in after him and brought him to court and everything. So he stood up to him. There are not many people that do that and take the chance, like, you know, that his own children wouldn't be attacked. But they weren't. He stopped all that. You could walk here at any time in the night. Do you know what I mean? It's a good community. When anyone see anyone doing anything else, you know what I mean? They're very good. They come up and give out to them and say, look, don't be doing that, you know.
So they stand up for each other.
They stand up for each other, yeah. But it's the new people now coming in now. That's what you'd have to watch, wouldn't you?
Well,
to keep it like that. To keep it like that. If you could get some of the younger women to take part in things. Like, I'm hoping this year I'm really going to come off being the chairperson of the residents this September, because I'm responsible for everything, to the flowers and everything. It's a bit much on me at the moment, and so I'm trying to get off that a bit. Now, I got a lot of jobs for them all then in Cromberton Show, but you see, because I had the power to get it in there, like, you know, as well. So that's another thing, I suppose, that added out here, because that Cromberton Show was a fantastic job, you know. So I had £400 a week. Now, I know I used to, most of it used to go in tax.
Or was there a bit of that in the area where people would get jobs for each other and all that kind of stuff?
Oh, they would.
Okay.
Well, that's all you have to do. If you have a good contact, you know, it's, you know, even now I use as people that I was on committees with, and we'll say, when I was in the Fine Gael, you see, they wanted me to go for it, but I didn't go for it. And so if I wanted anyone, I'd ring Jim Dorsey, because he's Fine Gael. And now he's after doing a tremendous work out here. And I got him one girl that he put through in this school, and like, she wasn't doing well in the other schools. And this week now she got all distinctions and everything. So it's fair play to Jim. Yeah. He's very good. But like that, if I'm involved in someone and I hear tell, it might be a bank manager or something, so I'll kind of go after him then for that. Yeah.
And come here, Peig, you mentioned a few different factories and places. Were you ever involved in Tops of Town or that?
I was the chairperson. I was the what did they call that thing for the Tops of the Town? I was the head person anyhow. About the costume, wardrobe mistress. That's what I was. That meant I made them, and anything we couldn't get to make, we find and hire him the cheapest we could. I got him with Mike McCann's wife then, and she'd switch him around, and if we had any, we could give her to rent out if she wanted.
Nomac.
Yeah, she's Nomac now, up there.
And were you working just for anybody, or was it just one particular factory? Or?
Well, I did do it only for the last factory for a while, and then I helped out ACEC as well. Okay. Yeah, we used to make all the costumes. And the priest said I was making too skimpy or something.
Too short.
And too low.
Did you ever?
And they asked me, why did I do that? Well, I said that Judy Caters likes low things. So I was bribing them. But I must go everywhere. And John, that's one thing about them. Wherever we went with the Das factory, they always had a room for me and John, so that John could come as well.
And was that with what's his name, Graham?
No, only he was there for the first lot, and I was there for a fella out of the last factory, Sean Dunphy and all them. Okay. Yeah, I had a room up there, and it was packed with all costumes at one stage.
And did you ever appear in any of the shows yourself?
Oh, no. I made the headgear and all. I nearly ran in on the stage one day because the young one forgot her thing. I got into the car, and it was up in the Yellow Road. She was after leaving it on the hall table. This new style of the hair was on it. And they all had them on her. And she said, oh, where's mine? Then she thought of it, and she only had a few minutes to go on the stage. I got in the car, drove through all the lights, and they were the red, and I drove through everyone. And got it and came back down. I just went in on the stage and I stuck it down on her head. That's the only appearance I done. I used to dance on the stage down in Enniscorthy before the cinema. They used to only have one picture. It was something to do with tax or something. And I used to dance in paper dresses. My mother used to make them for us. It was great.
So was that kind of Irish dancing?
No, we used to do other dancing as well, you know. Do something in different styles, like, you know, and we'd be out and we'd be dancing. No one ever knew there were their paper dresses.
What was I going to say about the shows now? Oh God, I can't remember what I was going to say, but anyway. Oh yeah, just to go back to talking about out here again, the whole thing about the German road and all that.
The German road. They were always, when we came out here then, the German road was there, and it was mostly all purchase houses at one side. And like the other ones are not German roads at all. It's not German house at all. They're corporation houses. But the German ones was at the other side. And like they brought a lot of money and work into because they were over the glass factory at the time. And were very nice people and very religious people, you know.
But you know the way, I suppose this is a very working class area. But
Yeah.
with like, for example, you know, in the Ursuline, like there was a kind of a paid school, you know, people.
Oh yeah, it was St. Anne's.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, would people be very conscious of that kind of class thing, or would it be?
They didn't think about it in them days.
Okay.
They didn't really think about it.
Okay.
You know.
And what about, just to go back to way back, because I was asking Babs earlier on about, you know, in the previous generation, like your mother's generation and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But generally, there would be a lot of old beliefs, like whether it be favourite saints.
Oh yeah,
or,
yeah.
Even things like, you know, you had to do this on St. Bridget's Day, or you had to do that on...
We used to make the rushes, the crosses, and
Tell us a few of
we
those things.
we used to go down to the banks of the river and pull the rushes and make those, and you'd hang them on the door for luck for the year. But my mother was very particular about the prayers and prayers in the night, and we'd be only waiting to jump into the bed, but she'd be praying for this one and that one. She'd have nearly 100 people to be praying for in the night, and she always, what struck me was, she always said 3 Hail Marys for those who are out and have no place, they're under the weather, and she'd always pray for them. And I remember one night, I was very young at the time, and we heard crying at the door, and I thought it was the banshee, because you know, in the country they spoke about the banshee. And I said to my mother, don't go down there, don't go down there. So she eventually went down. She said, that's a human that's crying. So she opened the door, and this girl, she was a farmer's daughter, and she was in trouble. She was expecting a baby, and she was out hiding it all the time on her parents, you know, and the child was about to be born. So my mother got her brought over to the home, and she said I'd have to leave everything the next morning and go back to the farm, because they won't know where she, you know, that she didn't want them to know, and she'd have to leave the baby there. My mother always done things like that, and when anyone would be dying, my mother was there, and that's where I got it as well, because she used to bring me with her. And if it was a man, she never left me wash down there. She'd maybe wash his hair or his face, but she'd be covering up the other part of him. You know,
just to prepare the bodies, is it?
Yeah, and she'd pray over him, because there were no priests that come to the house them days, like, you know. So it's a woman that'd be there. So my mother used to do that for them all, and she often delivered babies and everything. Yeah,
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, what a woman!
Yeah, she was like that. And I suppose maybe that's why I got what I know, like, you know.
And you mentioned the banshee.
The banshee.
Now, what
You'd
kind
hear
of
the
things would she tell
banshee.
you? What kind of things would she
Oh
do?
God, she was telling about my grandfather. He was a devil for the playing cards. And we'd staying out late playing these cards till all hours in the morning. And he'd come through the fields back, because he was a British soldier at the time, and they had a lovely big house that was a British soldier's house, and with orchards and everything. And he'd come through all the fields when he'd be coming down from the farmers' houses after playing the cards. And he said he came to the gap anyhow, and the banshee was there, and she was playing, oh honey, oh, where'll I live or where'll I go? And the next thing, he was found unconscious the next morning. He was in the hospital, she said, for 6 weeks, because you're not supposed to talk to her or look at her. But we used to be terrified of my mother telling us this, but that was probably worked out stories. Just that, you know, there were queer stories going around them days, you know. Around the fire, they told ghost stories all the time, didn't they? Those days. But you'd never hear it now. I don't think anyone's afraid of anything now.
What other superstitions would there be? I mean, would there be anything about, you know...
Oh, if you spilled salt, my God, you'd be praying and you'd be shaking it over your shoulders and things like that. You know, superstition, that's all it is, yeah.
But all those things are dying out. So
they are. People don't believe in those things.
Yeah, but it's important to hear the stories, though. I mean, that's
yeah,
I mean.
yeah. Oh, they used to play the bowlies, and they used to play the what do you call them? Roll the little dice and things out outside. And what we used to do was have a box belonging to a shoebox and a hole in it, and you'd be trying to get the TTs into it. And you'd win fad cards out. You know, the fad cards out of cigarette things, you know. John, when I was going with Johnny, every week he came down and he bought me a beautiful brooch. Every week. I had a big pile of them in this box up on the place. And for some reason, Nellie, my sister, went off and she gave them all away for fad cards. She's the murder in the house. She was an awful one altogether, you know. Okay. She was mad.
And come here, was your mother very stylish?
Yeah, she was.
So that's where you got it from?
The hats and everything. She never went out without a hat. Oh, she was very, very stylish and a very good singer. When you go into the church, you could hear her voice on the choir more than anyone else.
And what about you? Did you sing?
Well, I sings, but I don't sing that much. I sings now, Father. We have a new priest in the parish, and he gives a hint to us when to start off, you know. He likes one part of this hymn, and he just looks down at myself and me, and the two of us starts off. Actually, I don't mind. I like him. He's a nice priest, and we're delighted to have him.
And what about, do you remember any of the songs from childhood, or like songs that you'd sing when you were young?
No, not there's nearly always. My mother had loads. She was a lovely singer.
Would she have had rhymes? You know, like all those little rhymes that people had years ago? Do you remember
God, no.
And what about just a few things around this area? Like you had Kilcone, the football pitch, obviously was a big thing.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
I mean, did your family have any interest in the football and all that at the time?
No, Jimmy and them went out and played for the school and that, but that's all. They never looked for anything exhaustion, you know what I mean? Jimmy kept it up in the glass factory as well for a while, but only just more of an exercise. But I have Mel and I have a grandchild, and she's a fanatic she goes to the gym at 6 before she goes to work at all. She does that, and I have a few of them runs now. I have John Paul, he's after running in England and everywhere for charity. And he does all the runs here. But I think it's a very wrong thing, because people are running like that. You know, Peig Tebay, he's a relation of John's as well. And he really got an awful lot from the running, the knees. And I notice when he's talking, you know, he's doing this all the time. And that's trying to breathe. He got so much running with it and doing that. He has a habit of it now when he's talking.
And what about, we say, the places around here like St. Othran's Hospital and all that? Would that have had any impact on?
It did for a good while, because we were terrified of the patients coming over it, and sometimes the patient would come over the wall, and there'd be a lot of people be worried about it. And then they had the house down below rented, and there used to be 3 or 4 of them in it. Now they were kind of very people were very worried about him, but they never bothered anybody. But once they see him coming, all the children would scatter into the houses. But I went up to get a job there one time. Mrs. Short got me the interview, and I went up, and my mother was after sending me green shoes from England, and I had on the green high heel shoes, and I was going in, and I got the job. I was going the next morning, and I was going to be working with the matron there, and I was coming out, and this Sandy fella ran after me. "Come on," he said, "you have the dancing shoes." Well, I took to run, and I tell you, I never went in there to the work. Mary had to tell her I couldn't go in.
You got such a fright?
I got an awful fright. Do you know what I mean? And I tell you what happened to me then. I got a job in a house up above that a few mornings a week, and so I was asked to stay back to serve the bishop. He was in for his lunch, and I was going up, I was going down, and they were going up to the field to work in the field. About 30 of them. And this big fella ran over to me, and he had no lacings in his shoes or anything. And he started shouting, "Oh, there's nothing wrong. I'm pulling out. There's nothing wrong." And he was screaming into me face. If you did, I nearly collapsed on the ground. When I went in, I couldn't even give a cup of tea to the bishop. They nearly had to get me blessed by the bishop, you know, the way we were.
What about St. John's College? Because that was up the road too, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, we didn't have much to do with St. John's College now. We didn't really. Yeah, they didn't.
And what about like Raytex? That was over here as well. Was on the back
that was there for a while as well. It was all right, but there was only an odd person from around here, I'd say, worked there, like, you know. I worked in the jute factory as well for a while, yeah. I liked it. I used to work in the jute factory if I was on an early shift. And then the lads were getting married at the time, and they all got married one after another, you know. And so I'd work in the morning when I'd be on evening shift in the jute factory. I'd walk down in the hotel for an hour, serving breakfast. So versus around the next week, then I'd work in the night, you know.
And was the jute factory, what was your memory of that?
I liked the jute factory because when they knew then I was waiting down in the hotel, I wasn't asked to do the looms and things as much, and I was brought into the canteen. So I worked in the canteen then, and we worked with a lovely woman. She lived actually down on the German Road, Mrs. Clooney, and she was a lady, pure lady. But I enjoyed working in there because you'd be serving the stuff out, and yeah, you know. So I worked in a good few places. Yeah.
Absolutely, sounds like it.
That's because I'm 83, nearly 83.
I mean, now I suppose when you look back on it now, I mean, do you still love Waterford at this stage?
I do. I love it even more today, Waterford. I just love it, and the people are fantastic. So we started up the actor retirement, Sacred Heart actor retirement. So.
And you're still involved?
And we're still involved. We were out in the Donica's the other night. We had a great night, yeah. I don't drink, you see, so I can afford to stay and do what I like, because it's not through drink I'm doing it. Yeah. I don't drink or smoke.
But you've actually contributed an awful lot to the community, haven't you, over the years?
Well, I love out here. I tell you the truth, I really love it now. I have a big competition for the Alzheimer's now next week, look. And I've done one for the hospice, and I've done one for the Daffodil Day. I got 900 for the Daffodil Day because I done it down in the church hall, and I got 8 for the hospice. So I'm hoping to get a good few pound next week for that as well.
Can we just finish off with just maybe get the photographs? We'll get the shots of the photographs. Peggy, one of the photographs.
Yeah, and same as before. Yeah.
You don't want to put that one in now.
Oh, we do. Oh, Jesus, we do. That's lovely.
It's a good job I didn't get the Mickey Mouse one.
So, tell us a little bit about John when you're home.
John was a character, very loving husband, and adored his children, adored them, and they adore him. They still do.
And this is the one with the big gang. You're very
He
young.
never even slapped any of his children. You say they're too big of hands, but I'd slapped them though when they were wrong.
So you're the one who did all the discipline?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he said his hands were too big.
Oh. Yeah. He's a gentleman. Then.
Yeah, he was a gentleman. Loved singing love songs. You know, yeah.
Oh, would he serenade you?
Oh, he would.
What songs would he sing to you?
My Heart and I.
Who was that by?
Once in a Lifetime, a love dream comes true. Did you ever hear that?
No. Go on, give us a hum.
Oh, I wouldn't know how to.
Go on.
Once in a lifetime, a love dream comes true. I can't think of the name now. What it is? No, it's gone out of my head. I know that's a lovely song. It was one of the opera crowd sings that.
Okay.
Yeah, you know.
Oh, that was his one for you.
Yeah.
And you would melt.
I'd melt. That's why I had that many children.
That's great.
Ah, sure. He was a lovely man, though.
That's lovely.
He thought I could do anything in the world.
Well, you could.
Yeah. Well, I suppose I could.
Yeah.
You know.
You're an amazing woman. Amazing. So thank you.
Will I leave it all to when I'm gone now?
Well,
I could be gone next year.
You're going to leave a gap. You leave a gap for someone else to fill.
Well, yeah. I'd want to be leaving it to somebody that'll carry it on in the show, yeah.
They will.
I tries to get him involved in things all right. Hazel now, she was a lovely singer. Did you ever hear tell of Hazel? Hazel David.
Yeah, I
She's
think
singing the
yeah.
church. She's in all the shows, a lunatic as well, but she's, if she'd only get her act together now, she might be able to do things all right. And Patricia, they're very good about the computer though. Yeah. You see, what I don't know about the computer, they'll do it. Do you know what I mean? They were wanting me to get down on this computer, but I've enough in there.
You've done enough, mate.
I have enough done, it's right.
Listen, thanks a million.
Thanks very much. And I had a cup of tea. We're going to give you a
'cause
show.
We have to run. We have
Yeah.
to catch these.
Who are you going to now?
No, we're going up to just get a few shots.
Did
of
you go
children.
to Jerry Roach?
No, I have Jerry Roach. No, not yet.
Because he have...
Oh, no, I rang him, but there was no answer.
Well, this was the photograph, the turning of the sod before Kennedy Road was ever built. Just across the road from us. You got it?
Yeah.
That's grand. And this is one at the top of the road, up past this is the crescent that was made after that, in that area. And that's part of John's Park as well, the crescent. And this is the first wedding I had in my house. Well, it's the kids outside. They used to all gather around when there'd be a wedding. And John would throw out the money to them. And they were waiting for the money to be thrown out. You know?
That was the tradition. You threw.
It was you throw out the money, yeah, too. I don't know who them kids are. That's one of my grandchildren there. That's down in the square. So these are only children who were sitting down, look at...
Hold them up because you see...
23 great-grandchildren. So I created a lot, didn't I? That's one of my great-grandchildren as well.
Brilliant.
And I don't know who that little lad is that that Eleanor had him. Someone was in playing with the children and,
Yeah.
you know.